The paintwork, as on most modern cars, is not of the best quality. Because of this, the body quickly becomes covered with scratches and even chips. Despite this, traces of corrosion for this model are very rare. Nevertheless, one should not carelessly treat body diagnostics, since most of the Infiniti FX presented on the secondary market have been restored after accident of varying severity. Also, when inspecting, pay attention to the front optics. It fogs up on many copies. This does not affect performance in any way, but it will be a reason for a little bargaining. Only works with glass. Another weak point is the chrome on the body elements, which begins to swell and peel over time. On many instances, the trunk open button may suddenly stop working. The contacts in the button are oxidized and broken. Due to contact problems, the rear door wipers and rear view camera may not work correctly. On cars older than 5 years, cases of sagging front doors are not uncommon. This happens due to weak fastening of the hinges to the door and body. Both engines are very reliable. At one time they were among the 10 most reliable engines in the world. With proper maintenance, the engine life before overhaul is 400,000–500,000 kilometers. Both motors are equipped with a timing chain drive. In most cases, its resource is 150 to 100,000 kilometers, after which the chain and tensioners need to be replaced. Stretching the chain often leads to incorrect engine operation, difficult starting often stalls, errors appear on the camshafts, and diesel may also appear. If you ignore the problem, this can lead to a fatal meeting of the pistons with the valves. Engine overhaul if the official service will cost $20–2,500 USD. Often, a camshaft error appears due to failed sensors. Replacing sensor will cost $50–100. If the car is operated in the snigger on the floor mode, it becomes necessary to constantly monitor the oil level. If the oil level often drops to a minimum, oil pressure indicator lights up on the panel, engine life is significantly reduced. After 100,000 kilometers of run, a gradual increase in oil consumption is observed. Critical, more than 2 liters per 10,000 kilometers is considered critical. There can be two reasons. The first is that catalysts become unusable. Replacement is required every 120–150,000 kilometers. Most offer owners who constantly refuel with low-quality fuel face the problem. The second is wear of the piston group, which occurs as a result of ceramic dust from destroyed catalyst on the cylinder walls. You can fix the problem by overhauling or replacing the engine, plus buying 4 new catalysts. In order to avoid high costs, it is necessary to replace the under catalyst with flame arresters in a timely manner. Another problem that is characteristic of these motors is the tendency to overheat, as a result of which it can warp the valve cover and move the head. Owners of cars with the VK45DE power unit often face a problem. This ailment is complicated by an incorrectly working engine temperature sensor. There have been cases when steam was already coming out from under the hood, and the temperature gauge was just starting to get close to the high temperature mark. The main sign that the engine is overheating is the presence of oil in the spark plug wells. Also, this may be a signal that there are problems with the piston group. The presence of oil in the spark plug wells leads to ignition problems over time. To avoid trouble, it is necessary to regularly check the cooling system for coolant leaks and air pockets, as well as regularly monitor the cleanliness of the radiator cells. Often, the owners of Infiniti FX with a 3.5 engine are called unstably idle speeds. Most often, the reason lies in the exhaust camshaft covers. Check and replace them. After restyling, air dampers began to be installed on power units in the intake manifold. In theory, this innovation helps to slightly reduce fuel consumption and improve engine performance. However, in practice, things are not so rosy for many FH45 owners. This improvement resulted in additional costs. The most widespread problem that the owners had to face was the arbitrary unscrewing on the damper bolts, as a result of which they fell into the engine. In most cases, this trouble ended in an expensive repair of the power unit. To save yourself from trouble, it is recommended to put the bolt on the sealant. Once every 120–150,000 kilometers, the throttle valve needs to be cleaned. Symptoms: speed floats, the engine may stall at idle. After cleaning the damper, calibration is required on a dealer scanner. Of the engine attachments, only the air conditioning compressor clutch, which is wedged from dirt and rust, can cause trouble. A pressure regulating cap is installed on the coolant radiator. This part has a tendency to sour, and if its condition is not monitored, the radiator may burst due to excess pressure. Closer to 200,000 kilometers, a radiator needs to be replaced. Leaks appear. You should not delay replacing the radiator, since its performance affects not only the engine, but also the transmission. The reason is the contamination of the tracks on the measurement board. Cleaning the board is required to eliminate the drawback. The first generation Infiniti FX is equipped with only a 5-speed automatic transmission from the well-known Japanese manufacturer Jetco. The transmission is quite reliable and with timely maintenance does not cause trouble. Even with an aggressive driving style, the box can last up to 200,000 kilometers without repair, for calm drivers up to 300,000 kilometers. Due to the fact that there may be leaks in the cooling system, the cooling culprits of the engine and the meshing path through one radiator, it is recommended to change the oil in the box every 40–60,000 kilometers and also check the condition of the automatic transmission oil hoses. Driving style most often the cause of the need for transmission repair in burnt clutches. When contacting the service, the officials sentence the box to be replaced. There are no original components for repair, and this is not cheap leisure, about 5,000 USD. When contacting the service, the officials sentence the box to be replaced. There are no original components for repair, and this is not cheap leisure, about 5,000 USD. But if you do not have such a sum, you can find a company that will undertake the repair of the box, which will cost 2–3,000 USD. The first signs of the imminent failure of the box will be jerks and sleep when switching. When diagnosing a car, try to get to the automatic transmission oil. If it is dark and smells of burning, transmission repair is just around the corner. On restyled copies, malfunctions of the automatic transmission control unit (TCM) are possible. Symptoms: a solenoid malfunctions error appears. After replacing the solenoids, the error does not go away. The reason is bad contacts in the control unit. The box can be cured after soldering the contacts in the block. The Infiniti FX is equipped with all-wheel drive. The FX35 can only be equipped with a rear-wheel drive. As a rule, there are no serious problems with the all-wheel drive system. The only thing that needs to be changed here is the crosses of the front drive shaft every 150–200,000 kilometers. Rarely, but nevertheless, there were, on a car with a mileage of more than 150,000 kilometers, cases of failure of the electromagnetic clutch. On overseas versions, the transfer case often fails, refusing to connect the front axle at the most crucial moment. The car is equipped with a fully independent suspension, front McPherson strut, rear multilink. Despite this, it is difficult to call the suspension comfortable, hard. While driving Infiniti FX at a relatively low speeds, up to 100 km/h, one gets the impression that this is a well-controlled and stable car. However, this feeling is deceptive. Firstly, the car feels the track very much. Secondly, due to the fact that the load during movement mainly goes to the rear axle, the front one is connected only in case of slippage. At high speed, over 140 km/h, the car can easily turn around and throw it off the road. Therefore, getting behind the wheel, FH needs to be extremely connected and fuses, especially on roads with poor coverage. Traditionally, in the front suspension, you will most often have to change the struts and bushings of the anti-roll bar. Depending on the operating conditions, their resource is 40–70,000 kilometers. Due to the large size of the rollers, 20–21 inches, wheel bearings run no more than 60–80,000 kilometers. Replacement will cost $150. Silent blocks can last up to 150,000 kilometers. The rubber bands can be repressed, so in most cases there is no need to replace the levers. The rear suspension is more enduring and does not require attention more often than once every 120–150,000 kilometers. If during sharp acceleration clicks are heard from behind, this means that it is time to change the rear civet joints. The steering system is very reliable. If, over time, a knock appears in the steering rack, do not rush to get upset. This does not always lead to the replacement of this node. In most cases, knocking is not a defect, but a design feature of the rack. At the same time, rail leaks appear no earlier than 170–200,000 kilometers. Replacement of the rail will cost $400–500 USD, repair about $300 USD. On the same run, it may be necessary to replace the power steering. The original pump will cost $250–300 USD, but you can save money by taking a pump from Nissan Skyline with the same engine for $50. Steering tips serve 100–120,000 kilometers of thrust up to 150,000 kilometers. And here, the brake system is very weak. The small thickness and diameter of the brake discs do not at all correspond to the sporty character of the car. The brakes are not effective and quickly overheat, and then deform and require replacement. The need to replace the discs will be prompted by a beating during braking. For a pair of discs, they ask for about $100 USD. There is only one solution to the problem, and it is not very cheap: installing reinforced discs or installing a brake system from the next generation of Infiniti FX, about $1,000. Over time, the front calipers begin to knock. The reason is the wear of the guides. Despite the premium status of the car, the interior trim is made of not the highest quality materials and greatly spoils the impression of the car. But let's talk about everything in order. Among the shortcomings here, swelling of the plastic in the front panel can be noted. This happens with a run of 120–150,000 kilometers. The sides of the front seats and the armrest are made of leatherette, which by 100,000 kilometers is covered with cracks and severe abrasions on the armrest. The center console is covered with aluminum sheets that stretch very quickly and look very ugly. The front seats become loose over time, wear of the gears of the supporting structure of the seats, and the greater the weight of the driver, the earlier the backlash appears. The elimination of the defect is not a cheap pleasure, about $800 USD. As for the reliability of electronics, which is not enough in Infiniti FX, then no serious problems have been identified, but here, on trifles on a car with a mileage of more than 100,000 km, it can exploit the nerves. Of the common troubles it can be noted: the failure of the electric locks, the motor fails, the stem of the gas tank lock actuator is destroyed, the gas tank hatch stops opening. Over time, the audio system stops reading discs, the control buttons for various system fails. If you are the owner of this car model, please describe the problems that you had to face during the operation of the car. Perhaps it is your review that will help readers of our site when choosing a car.